This is Martha D-Style with The Hashtag Show, and I'm back to review episode 2 of Lower Decks titled Kayshon, His Eyes Open. Now, immediately when I saw the title of this episode, I knew there's going to be some sort of hint of the Temerians, and I was right. The Cerritos has a new head of security, and his name is Lieutenant Kayshon. And of course, he is a Temerian from what you remember from Star Trek TNG Season 5, Episode 2, Darmok and Jalad at Tanagra. There's a lot of that symbolism and that verbiage going through in this episode, and it's kind of cool to see one of Star Trek's legendary episodes and characters come back into the fold into real time. So, alright, so let's get started on the Cerritos' adventure. A notable collector has died, and Starfleet has tasked the Cerritos to go to this collector's ship and collect valuable Starfleet collector's items. It's kind of interesting because there was a reference to data being collected, and they said, didn't they try to collect data? Captain Freeman says, everyone tried to collect data. Now, you would think data is information, but Data the android, because everyone wanted him. It's a well-known episode from the past of TNG, go look it up. And so the away mission consists of our new chief of security and the lower deckers. So they all go to this collector's ship, and let me tell you, I was surprised because I actually paused the screen to see what Easter eggs I could see in this vault of collections. So we saw a case of Picard Chateau wine, we saw Kahless's fornication helmet, and we also saw from one of my favorite episodes of TNG, The Game, the headset that went around. The whole Enterprise crew got sucked into this game where you throw a disc into the funnel and everyone got hooked on it, and then it was quite an episode. Go back and check it out. Season 5, I believe. And so we see all of these amazing collections. Before you know it, there's a holo message from the original collector that died, and he said, if this message has gone off, it means I have died. And then it becomes a whole booby trap scenario where the lower deckers and the new head of security are outrunning lasers and gunfire, well, laser fire, and it becomes quite interesting, up to the point where the head of security got turned into a puppet. It was really sad. But, you know, first mission, things are bound to happen. And so this becomes quite an interesting dynamic because Jet from last season is on this away mission, and him and Mariner are fighting back and forth after who should be a leader. Mariner is gung-ho about let's go to the engine room, let's do this, let's do that, let's do that, in the most dangerous way possible. And Jet is like, no, let's follow training. This will save our lives. And it comes to a point where they go head to head, and, you know, Mariner's going off about her great epic escape plan, and Jet's like, no. And he interrupts her, and she says, yo, you know, Boimler would have never interrupted me in this epic tale of my survival and my amazing quest to get us out of here. And Jet flat out lets her have it and says, Boimler's not here, get over it. And she was not having it either. So Tendi and Rutherford kind of stepped in and said, hey, you know, we should try this. And they said, why didn't you say anything? And they said, well, we weren't in charge, you guys were. Rutherford and Tendi again saved the day, and yeah, it becomes quite an adventure, and they return safely back to their ship. On the Titan, I was very surprised to see the Pakleds show up at the end of the season, last season. To be honest with you, they've evolved from the last time we saw them in season 2 of The Next Generation, and now they are like the Borg. They collect energy and weapons and things like that, and they become a huge fighting force. It's a storyline that's continuing on in this season. So the Titan is fighting with these guys, and they've decided to infiltrate one of their camps to try and figure out who is helping the Pakleds, because obviously there's something else going on. And as Riker says, there's a puppet master in there somewhere. Get in there, cut the strings. And literally Boimler is in the ready room, like literally taking notes. Boimler's that guy. Poor guy. So anyway, they go on this mission, Boimler goes on it, and he's not cut out for this life. This is rugged and dangerous, and he is just not having it. They go into the Pakleds area, and they try to infiltrate their camp. Eventually they get caught, and he ends up finding a way to help them escape. He breaks down before that. He says, I came to Starfleet to do different things. I am not made for this. And in between all that, his brain took over and helped him and the rest of the crew escape their dangerous situation. And then he got into a transporter accident where he actually got cloned. Of course, Boimler got cloned. Like, that's expected. It's Boimler, for God's sakes. At the end of the episode, Riker is sitting in his ready room and he's like, you know what? I know what it's like to be a clone, referring back to that TNG episode where he has obviously a twin. And he said, look, Starfleet has weird rules in place that, two clones cannot be in the same spot at the same time. So one of you is gonna have to go back to the Cerritos. And the clone looks over at Boimler and nods his head. And Boimler says, you know what? I'll go back. And the clone he's like, okay, cool, I wanted to stay here. And obviously the clone is way cooler than Boimler. And, he's like, all right, the clone fits in better with the Titan. And he ends up hanging out with Riker at the end of it, drinking some Romulan ale, and Boimler gathers his things and takes off. Now he's back to the Cerritos. At the end of the episode, we do see them reunite with the lower deckers. Mariner is so excited, she's beside herself, but says he has to buy all the drinks because he left. And they reunite, all is fun. So overall, this episode was really good. Lots of action, lots of suspense, lots of amazing graphics, fights, everything. It's everything you want in a Lower Decks episode. It wasn't boring. It really filled out in a way that we want to see in every episode. And of course, a transporter accident, because any Star Trek show needs a good transporter accident. So that's it for me on this episode review. I hope you enjoy it. If you have any comments, or write them down below, I will write you back, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.